Hi there, welcome to Floating in Dreams. This is going to be my top 15 favorite cool tone blush. Welcome to everybody watching today. Thank you so very much for joining me. This video is going to be a new series that I'm kicking off on this channel for 2024. Drumroll please. Oh yes, it's the long-awaited cool toned series that I have been announcing I was gonna do. We're kicking things off with blush because that's the category I get the most questions about, but the idea is to come on this channel once a month and that I share with you my top 10, or in this case my top 15 favorite products that I would recommend if you have fair skin like me that skews a little bit more cool toned. For those of you who might be new here, it may be good to know who I am and what I like doing on this channel if you've never been here before. My name is Maaike, I live in the Netherlands, I have fair skin with a cool to neutral undertone, and this greatly influences my makeup preferences. I have been reviewing makeup for more than a decade. I love trying eyeshadow palettes, essence and Catrice, and getting the use out of my makeup. So if that's something you're interested in, then I hope you'd like to stick around. Yes, my top 10, in this case 15 favorite cool tone blushes. I always say in my intro that I am cool to neutral, and I am someone who prefers a lot of cooler tone makeup on myself, but because I have a more neutral leaning undertone, I can get away with both warm tones and cool tones. It just, for me, it's more of like a preference thing. And before I ever even sat down to film this video today, I did already film a video over my Christmas break period where I swatched out all of my blushes, which you're gonna see in February. And I have just really found that as much as I love a cool toned shadow and very often a cooler toned lipstick on myself, I tend to go for warm blushes. And I think that's because I like to balance things out because of that neutral undertone. So even though I like this to be cool toned and I like this to be cool toned, I like that middle part of my face also because I do like to wear a bit of bronzer and also a more peachy toned highlighter. I feel that that kind of blends into my skin better. So for me to feel my best, I mix warm and cool tones. However, there are people who only have cool tones in their skin tone and they couldn't get away with a warm tone for the life of them. And I do feel that the paler I get in winter, the better I suit a cool tone blush. So that's why, because it is the winter time, we are going to be chatting about cool tone blushes today and my top 15 favorites. Let me know in a comment down below what category you would like to see next. I was thinking we could do bronzers next, but the plan is to do a video like this once a month, the entire year, where I'm going to be sharing like my favorite foundations and eyeshadows and lipsticks, and like we're gonna do all the categories. So that if you have that cool, fair skin and you struggle finding good complexion products, especially, because I feel those are the hardest to find, like eyeshadow, you can make work. You just throw on a different eyeliner and you're good to go. Lipstick with a different lip liner underneath it, you might still be able to make it work or wear it a bit more sheer, or, you know what I mean? But complexion products, foundation, concealer, blush, bronzer, highlight, those are the ones that are difficult. So that's why we're doing blush today, and I'm super excited to be filming this video. I will be live swatching them for you as we're going along, because with this camera I now have, I can have my arm up close to the camera and like do everything in one go, and I don't have to shoot B-roll, which is lovely. So the way I'm going to be organizing this video is that I'm first going to be sharing some old favorites with you, things that I've had in my collection for a long time or that I have been lusting after for a long time. And then we are going to go into powders, creams, and then the liquids. And the first product I need to share with you, I actually no longer have the cool tone version in my collection, but I'll make sure to have links in the description box down below to any reviews of these that I might have up on the blog. Some of these I haven't reviewed in the shade I have, but I very often do have reviews up so that you can see the formula, and then I hope with the shade that you see in this video you can like figure out whether you might like it. And that kind of goes for this first one. This is the Etude House Lovely Cookie Blusher. Look how cute this is with the little puff. And this is in Ginger Honey Cookie, which on me is like a really good neutral mauve tone, but it's going to be too warm toned. However, they do this blush in loads of different shades, and a shade I had was Lavender Lemon Macaron. I'll pop a picture up on the screen here so you can see, and I'll swatch this one so you can see the texture, but I'll leave a link in the description box down below to my review as well so you can see what that shade was like also on my cheeks. I decluttered it because it was a touch too light for me. I just felt it didn't do enough for my complexion, which is why these super cool tone blushes, they're not always quite right for me. I prefer something like this because this shows up much better, but it's a very affordable blush. It's K-Beauty, and I feel that everyone who's been asking me, can you share your favorite cool tone blushes? K-Beauty. K-Beauty brands have just much more cool toned, like lavender pink options than a lot of Western makeup brands have. K-Beauty is very overlooked, I feel, and a lot of people don't know about this, but go onto YESSTYLE or Stylevana or other websites that sell a lot of different K-Beauty makeup brands, and there are going to be other K-Beauty brands in this overview today because I feel that within K-Beauty, they really nail the cool toned, pinky, lavender sort of blush when you don't want to go on for like a full-on pink, because I feel that that's the thing within a lot of Western makeup brands. We just get a bright pink, which can be fun, but you don't want to wear that every single day. And the Etude house, as you can see here, it's super sheer, which is why I kind of decluttered the other one I had, because together with the formula, it just didn't show up, but it was really beautiful, and I did really enjoy it. I just had way too much blush, and I couldn't hang on to it. Now I wish I had kept it so I could have shown it to you in this video, but yeah. Etude house, lovely cookie blusher in Lavender Lemon Macaron was lovely. Speaking of bright pink blush, the most hyped up bright pink blush on the planet is the Dior Backstage in Rosy Glow. And this is a product that I have been wanting to have for years until I finally caved and bought it. The reason why I never bought it, because this thing went viral on TikTok, but I think this is one of the oldest blushes on the market. I remember eyeing this up back in 2010. But at the time, it came in like the standard Dior box, like what their quints also come in. And then there was a little brush next to it. So the pan was really, really small of what you got. And whenever I would see this product in stores, it would never look pink. It looked white. And I've now seen people like scraping off the top and then the pink comes back. But this product, when it gets old, turns white. It just does. And I was always like, you know what? I want that product, but I don't want the brush. And I don't want to pay for that brush. So when they came out with this super sleek Backstage packaging, I was like, but that's what I like. Now this has been marketed in so many different ways. They now have different shades as well in this line that are more warm tone with, like, I believe a red and like an orange kind of shade is there as well. Really lovely if you have a warm undertone or much deeper skin than I do. But this for a very long time was also marketed as one of those like color changing, adjusts to your pH, like it looks flattering on anyone kind of thing, you know? I don't feel that, like, if you don't have a cool undertone, I don't think you're gonna enjoy this, because this is a very bright blue tone pink with a lot of white, which is why the powder, I think, turns white over time, is because it has such a strong white base. Let me see if I can like swatch it for you right here so you can just see how warm toned that Etude House blush that I just swatched for you is compared to this. Like, it's very, very blue heavy. It's stunning though. I love the way this looks on. However, I also don't feel that the Dior one is that unique anymore because of the hype it's gotten. So many brands have been duping this. You can find this at the drugstore. Like, you don't have to buy Dior. I have one from Kaleidos that essentially does the same thing. It's from their older blush range. It also has a very bright pink. And where this one is like super sheer and you really need to build it up to see the color, I feel the Kaleidos one is just a little bit more oomph, and you can see the pink coming through just a little bit better than with this Dior one. So I think that this one works really well if you have fair skin because of that sheerness. But if you want a bright pink blush and you have more like a medium skin tone, or maybe you're not as cool tone and you want a bit more, then I would go the Kaleidos route, which is easily half the money of the Dior anyways. And I know so many drugstore brands now do something like this. So you don't have to splurge and get the Dior, I feel. A product, remember what I said, this first category is like old time, like really long standing favorites, and a blush I just cannot declutter. I do apologize for the fingerprints that are on this. This is my Urban Decay. Yes, they used to do blushes in a powder format. They discontinued them and never brought them back. This is in the shade Bittersweet. It's like the only powder super bright purple blush I have ever found. And whenever I wear this, I tend to use another blush I have, which is a Blush Light, I think it's called, from Melt on top, which is in Electra, which was also discontinued, just to tone this down, because this is purple. It's a straight up purple. I know Fenty has a purple in their cream blush range, I think, which has also been discontinued, I believe. But purple blush, you have to be very careful with, because purples can be warm toned or cool toned. You can see here that it's got a blue base. Then you're safe. If you're looking for a cool tone purple blush, look for whether it's got blue in it or red. If the purple pulls more red, it's gonna work on people with warm tones and it's gonna look like a bright pink on them. If you have a cool undertone, you want to go for the blue tone. Let me show you what I mean. So if you swatch this, oh, you can just see how pigmented this is. Let me see if I can like shear it out a little bit so you can see the effect. But this on the cheeks is absolutely stunning in like this time of year. It's a straight up purple with like a blue undertone, and it's so stunning. Like I mentioned, I do tend to layer something else over it to make it a little less intense, because that has a little bit more glow, and this is a matte, and I don't prefer matte blush on myself anymore. This is very sort of like 2016 makeup when this came out. So I do feel that I need that other shade to really make it work. But by itself, I don't like the Melt blush I have in Electra. I don't like it by itself. So that's why I'm not featuring it here, and I also think it's been discontinued. But yeah, keep an eye out for true purple blush if you have that cool undertone, because they can work really well on you. Because I have this one, I've never really kept an eye out for anything else. But you may be wondering how I feel about this. This is the Pat McGrath Divine Blush Duo in Venusian Sunrise. And this, a lot of people have said they feel is like a purple blush. This is what the packaging looks like. I do apologize for how ratchet this looks, because I always blend my shades together. And the reason why I feel this can work for some people, if like me, you want your blush to have a little bit of a warm undertone, this can work. But you do have a split pan, so essentially you could just go for the lavender shade, which on me is more pink than lavender. Like, I feel it looks more purple in the pan than it does on my finger. And then you have the peach. But what do you get if you blend like a pinky lavender and a peach? You get a pinky lavender peach. So, and because the peach is like a bigger part of the pan, I feel on me, if I blend both shades together, this Pat McGrath blush tends to pull more peach. I love this in the springtime, like when we're transitioning from like winter into spring, I do enjoy this. With a smaller brush, you could pick up more of the purple, of course, but I wish that perhaps like it was just that, you know, but you can just see compared to the actual purple, it's not that purple. And then if I put the peach over it, because, you know, that's how I tend to like wear it, it pulls quite warm toned, essentially. So if you were wondering how cool toned this is, I don't feel it's a cool tone blush, but it is going to work for fair skin like mine, where you want that little bit of lavender coming through, but you don't want it to be too blue heavy. If a purple is too stark for you, something like this might work. And you do have options with this. You could either go into the peach, you could go into the purple, You could blend them together, so you do get a lot of bang for your buck. But if you were hoping this was cool toned, it's not. And then we get to the category of actual powder blushes. And I'm not gonna lie, because I was gonna do this video, I did make a couple of purchases so I could have more options to show you. And very often those are already in formulas I love. I'm very happy that I decluttered my more warm toned pink option from Catrice in my declutter last year. But I bought the Air Blush Glow in the shade Berry Haze when they last updated their collection. Again, I've been swatching this, so it looks a little not that pretty anymore. But before this, I had Cloud Wine. So again, if you have a warm undertone, you want this, but make it like a warm toned mauve, go for Cloud Wine. That's like your mauvey warm toned, a bit like the Etude House, the first one I swatched for you. But I felt this was just perfect. I tried quite a few blushes from Catrice in the fall season, and this was my favorite. Again, it looks a little bit lavender, I feel, in the pan, but when you swatch it, it's like a pink. So I do feel that a lot of these like cooler toned options pull quite pink. It's very similar to the Pat McGrath, actually, now that I'm swatching it next to it. So dupe anyone? I mean, it's not the same formula, of course, but I do think that the Catrice one is pretty close to the Pat McGrath, now that I'm looking at it. So you really don't have to shell out money for very expensive blushes. I mean, I have pretty dry skin, so I know some people always struggle with blush disappearing on them. That's not me. I don't struggle with blush disappearing. I can wear any formula of blush, stays put all day. So just in case you were wondering. A blush I bought specifically because I was going to film this video is by Sephora. This is their colorful blush in shade 51, Trust Yourself. And I saw this when I was at Sephora and I was like, oh, everything had sold out save for this shade when I was in the UK because nobody likes this apparently. It looks like a brighter pink, I feel, in the packaging. Like it's softer and lighter and it's got a little bit of glow, I feel. When you look at it in the pan. So it's got a little bit of that purple, like just a hint of purple. I feel it's less pink than the Catrice one we just swatched. So I've never swatched these side by side, so let me test my theory here. Am I right? I think that's quite right. Like you can see that this is a little closer to that strong purple of the Urban Decay than the Catrice or the Pat McGrath. Those seem to have a little bit more peach in them. And this is like a true, very light lavender pink, which is what I love. This is very, like, to me, this looks very similar to that lavender macaron shade I was mentioning at the start of the video. Very much reminds me of that, but with a little bit more pigmentation. And then finally for powder blush, because I'm just really into creams and liquids at the minute, but if you haven't yet, the Alma Viva collection that Kaleidos came out with has some really nice pale options. They all look quite warm toned though, but the shade Pale Rose, I just had to try. Look at how light this is. Like if you're super duper fair and you're really struggling with every blush just making you look like a clown because it's too pigmented, look into Kaleidos because the last collection they came out with, everything is very, very light skin friendly. It just is. And this Pale Rose shade, oh, look at that. It's like a milky pink. That's how I would subscribe it. It's like, you know, if you have strawberry milk, strawberry flavored milk, or like drink yogurt kind of things, that's what it reminds me of. It's this very nice, soft, or if you like blend strawberries into a smoothie, you know, that's sort of what I think this has going for it. Very light, very pale, and you can again, it's almost like the lighter version of the Sephora one. So it's not that warm toned. I feel it looks warmer in the pan than it does when I actually swatch it. Like this again has a very nice hint of something purpley to it. Next up are creams. And for creams, I'm gonna have to kick things off with the oldest one in my collection. I'm not sure you can still get this, but it's by Giorgio Armani. It's their Neo Nude Melting Color Balm in shade 50. And this is what it looks like. If you want a hint of gray to your purple blush, then this is it. This can also be used on the eyes, on the lips. It's supposed to be a color bomb that you can use all over. And it feels like, it's like a cream to powder sort of formula. So it's very matte, but you can see that this just has a little bit more of that grungy vibe to it. That one is so light. Ooh, it looks actually warm toned compared to some of these. But you can see that it has this like grayish, sort of murky undertone, and then it has the purple base. Like on some people, this is probably gonna look like a bruise. On me, it's a perfect neutral in the winter time. I'm stoked to select this one for February to be using it. Again, if you just look at what's left on my finger after swatching it, you can see how purpley it is. But because of that like hint of brown it has, I think it can also work as eyeshadow for that reason, or on the lips with a bit of gloss on top. Really perfect. So if you're into those monochromatic looks, something like that can really work. And then this is another one of those, is it a powder? Is it a cream? But I just recently got my hands on this product. It's by Fui, which is another K-beauty brand. And this is the Icy Heart Blush. Shade number 8. It's something called like fluffy or bouncy blush. It's one of those like putty sort of shades. And you can see very, very light lavender purpley kind of shade. It's got a bit of glow, and it's got this like bouncy sort of texture. Very sheer, very light. I haven't put this on my face yet, but I want to show you in this video. Look at how pretty that is. Very light, very blue toned, but I think it can work. Like on some people, this will probably be a highlighter, but this, if you're super fair, I think it's very, very pretty. Like I said, K-beauty is the place to be when it comes to cool tone blushes. Finally, if K-beauty is a bit difficult for you to find, but you can get your hands on Tower 28, they did come out with the Beach Please in Dream Hour, sorry. This one looked more lavender to me in all of the online pictures than once I got it home. I got mine from Revolve, in case you're wondering if you're in the EU how I got this. Because Tower 28 can be difficult to get. And this is a formula that I know I like, because I had one of these before, but I felt the shade wasn't right for me. So I've been waiting for them to do something differently. And it's a hot pink at first, but this is super blendable. Let me show you. Let's not put it into the other one. Here we go. Like, it's more like a bright, like fuchsia than an actual lavender on me. Like on websites, it looked very like cool toned, and it's definitely like a cooler tone pink, but it is pretty bright and more of like a summer shade for me, spring summer, rather than something I would want to wear right now in the winter time. I'd go for those lavender things more so now. And then we just have liquids left. Let me show you what's on my face. So what is actually on my face? It's a K-beauty one. This is in my Shop My Stash currently. It's from About Tone, and it's the Fluffy Air Blush Blusher or something like that. I don't remember the shade, of course, and it's only here in Korean. It seems to be shade 4. I've got a review for this over up on the blog, and as you can see, it looks super natural on. It's like a pinky lavender. I feel it's, yeah, I think a little less lavender than some of the other things I've shown you, but I mean, it's a lot more cool toned than what it looks like, I feel, when you, like on the cheeks, it's a lot more blue toned than what you might expect from just looking at it. It's super sheer, with a lot of cream blush. I need to be very careful it doesn't get too overpowering on my cheeks, but this I can just like dab onto my cheek directly and then blend it in. Like I now have a bit of extra product on my cheek, so I can just like use it to add it here. But yeah, it's really lovely. It's been one of my go-tos all month. It was really, really stunning on, and I thought just for the occasion, I feel that with this like intense eye and this more intense lip, this cheek goes with it really, really well. And at the same time, I bought the About Tone one. I got this one from Meeker because I just wanted to try some other things. This is also K-beauty, and this is in Dolcetto Lavender. And this I feel is a bit more like a cooler tone mauve. Let me see if I can find where it goes. This is one I still have to review. Ooh, this I still, like, this is a little bit more warm toned compared to the one from About Tone. Like, this one definitely has more purple than this one does, I feel. Even though this is called Lavender in the name. So, it's got a little bit more warmth, but it's still very pretty. Shears out beautifully. Original favorites, and these are by Etude. These are from the Juicy Pang line, and these aren't necessarily super cool toned, but they work really well on fair skin because they're sheer. This shade is Raspberry, and I kept this over one of my Rare Beauty ones. And so I used to own the shade Grace from the Rare Beauty line, and then I swatched this next to it, and this is just so much better than that one was for me. This is like if you want to go a little bit more berry, this works really well. You can just see how sheer it is. And then I have Guava, which is this really nice sort of, again, milky beige pink, super light. So especially if you're like super pale and you want that sort of like warmer pinky peach, then you can. Same lovely blendable formula. I've applied a little bit too much of these. And then I just have some in like squeezy tubes. I have one from MUA. I was wearing this all the time when I was testing it out. It's in the shade Dusky Rose. And very often rosy tone shades are not that like cool toned, fair skin friendly. Usually rose tones are very warm because they're very peach heavy. But do you see how pretty pink that is? Oh, she's pretty. Very, very pretty. And you can see when I blend it out that it does have a little bit of that blue pink that I like in some of these other ones. So that's why the shade Dusky Rose, and these are super pigmented, by the way. They're incredible. And I feel a pretty close alternative to the Glossier Clout Paints. Very happy to see them do some fair-skinned, cooler toned options because the Glossier Clout Paints, until recently, didn't come in a shade like Wisp, which is such a pretty, like, lavender pink. This is more of a true lavender, I feel, than the Tower 28. That's just a straight up bright pink. You can see it here, that it's, and again, it shears out beautifully, really pretty. A little goes a long way. It pulls more pink, I feel, when I, like, blend it out, which is why these, like, liquids wouldn't be fair if I were to not, like, try to blend them a little bit because they're too pigmented otherwise. So here's a full array of all of these really, really beautiful blushes that I think are just lovely if you have a cooler undertone. These just work really, really well if you have fair skin, if you're leaning more cool. Of course, some of these still have a bit of warmth in. I think it's very difficult to find something that isn't a pink that's gonna be a true cool tone because a lot of brands seem to like put a little bit of peach in there. Because the idea is that, of course, a blush mimics your flush, which is why, you know, you could go for something a little bit more reddish tone. If you have like a red tone, like pink tone red, you could go with that. You could go that route too. But reds I find even more difficult to find to work quite well, and I don't have that many. But like these like pinky lavender options, I hope there was something here for you. If you have a cool / fair undertone, that these 15 blushes can give you at least a guideline of what to look for. And I hope this video was as helpful as possible. Remember, I will have links in the description box down below. So if you want to see more of these on my face, then that is totally possible. Because I think sheared out onto a cheek, it looks differently than like in a full-on swatch. So I would recommend you go there. Let me know in a comment down below as well which one was your favorite and what category you would like me to do next. I would love to know whether you agree that bronzer would be the best next step, you could say. So I really hope you enjoyed watching this video today. Thumbs it up if you liked it, subscribe, and then I hope to see you in my next video. Bye-bye!